I'm Roger Handley, and as the MD at Strategy Workshops, I would very much like to introduce to you our concept of strategic thinking, which we regard as a critical thinking process. When used to facilitate management work sessions concerning strategy, our process can make a significant difference when building on the knowledge and experience within a top management team. The process that we facilitate ensures that everyone in the team gets an opportunity to participate in defining and communicating strategy. This builds understanding, commitment and buy-in between the key players and is effective at corporate, subsidiary or business unit levels. We focus on 5 critical thinking processes: strategic thinking for generating understanding and commitment to strategy, strategic objectives for setting clear and measurable milestones, operational initiatives to link strategic thinking to functional activities, defining competition strategy for market growth by targeting specific competitors, and strategic innovation for the creation of new products and marketing initiatives. This presentation is an overview of our strategic thinking process that we would facilitate for top management teams. We come armed with many searching questions for use during the process, including the key questions as to what sort of business are we today, but more important, what sort of business do we want to be in the future. Strategic thinking is the critical thinking process to define and communicate clear vision and goals. In presenting this overview, I'd like to say at this point that any reference to products equally applies to services in the context of this concept. Strategic thinking is naturally a top-down process. Participation of the top management team, together with an external facilitator, ensures collective agreement and eventual buy-in to the strategy, whereas strategy at operational and functional level tends to focus on the method of implementation. So for expediency, when setting strategy, we suggest a temporary separation of strategic thinking and operational planning to avoid potential confusion during the discussions. We see that the effectiveness of strategic thinking and operational planning happens at varying levels of proficiency, the best scenario being the green box. You have a clear and well communicated strategy, and you have successfully linked this to your operational activity. In this scenario, strategic thinking is used as a review process to maintain your competitive edge. However, the blue box is the most usual scenario. The business is successful but performance not exceptional. Cherry-picking the best opportunities and achieving operational objectives is driving the business, and there is probably sufficient growth in your market to sustain all the efficient competitors. In this instance, strategic thinking is used to develop clear but distinctive strategy that has the full buy-in from management to then translate into implementation initiatives. The yellow box is where you are clear about your direction, but you're not achieving the results. The strategy may be clear to 1 or 2 people, but it is not well understood or communicated to those needed for implementation, and therefore they don't share your commitment to achieving the end result. The consequence is that they have not been able to focus on what needs to be done to improve operational success. Here, strategic thinking is used to communicate management strategy and then to define critical issues. The red box is a critical scenario. Things just aren't working out. The competitors are targeting you and your market share is slipping. Growth and profit are both under pressure. Strategic thinking is used as soon as possible to quickly agree strategy. All efforts and resources are then focused into developing operational initiatives and resolving the critical issues that will have been identified. It may be interesting at this point to pause and reflect as to where your business would be situated on this simple graphic. As a top-down process, strategic thinking will help you and your team identify the high-level issues. Its role is to set focus and direction. It will assist management to prioritize the allocation of resources and to discriminate between opportunities. It helps to determine the choices management will make concerning which products or which services to emphasize and which customers and markets to emphasize. Size growth and return profit guidelines will also be set to check and validate decisions. In practice, the outputs from strategic thinking projects will be used to govern all high-level decisions that involve the future direction and positioning of the business. So whatever the decision is, whether it's to open up a new market or to acquire another business, this process will help as a strategic filter to focus the choices management will make. This will result in a future profile for the physical look of the business. The main elements that form this profile will be seen as the nature of products and markets that are pursued, plus the skills and capabilities used to bring the products to markets, and the results being the measure of strategic success. So to put strategic thinking in its simplest form, during a work session we develop a strategic profile to define the future physical look of the business. This can then be taken and used as a target for strategic and operational planning and as a filter to improve the quality and consistency of top-level decision-making. Part of the strategic filter and one of the profile outputs is to determine the scope for future products and markets. We clearly define the guidelines and boundaries around which future choices will be made concerning which products or services to emphasize and which customers and markets to emphasize. But just as importantly, which products and which markets to place less emphasis on. Frequently we see that management decisions about what not to do or about what to stop doing are more difficult than those about what to continue or start doing. This output provides direction when allocating resources and pursuing opportunities and ensures consistency with future decision making. When discriminating between opportunities, what we tend to see is management making key decisions to achieve best fit. They are attempting to evaluate opportunities by assessing the fit between the internal variables of the organization and the external variables in the business environment. The questions debated will center on how well the opportunity fits to certain key elements of the business, such as their product or service lines, customer classes, potential markets, skills, processes and procedures, etc. The fundamental question being, what will influence our strategic decision making when choosing between opportunities and determining the future products and markets? What we see are 9 driving forces that are responsible for influencing strategic decisions in any organization. These drivers are noted on the right side of this slide. In order to determine the scope for future products and markets, we need to ascertain how these drivers will influence strategy. Influence usually comes from 4 areas. Firstly, the requirement to achieve sustainable results. Secondly, that these results will be achieved with a customer-focused strategy. Thirdly, that there will be product concepts that will be derived from those that exercise a degree of market control, those that have differentiation and can achieve premium price, and those that are produced or distributed for the lowest cost. In fact, the products offered may be a combination of all 3. Finally, that there will be some key skills and capabilities that the organization will possess that is responsible for creating its competitive edge. Let's just pause to compare 3 different driving forces to see the implications concerning the allocation of resources and the influence over future decision making. The driving force in a product or service-driven business is the very concept of the product. It's the long-term pursuit of this concept that drives decisions and achieves growth. It will usually be a single concept, where you can see present-day products resembling previous ones. They will be functionally similar and be extensions and adaptations of previous ones. Future designs and products will share a natural link with those past and present. The scope for future products comes from the introduction of new technologies and product developments that follow the original concept. Growth is achieved by targeting specific customer segments and by retaining these customers by providing them with the very best in-class products. Consequently, any market and any customer class will be considered that has a commercial need for these products. Dell pursues a typical product-driven strategy by offering products that share the same concept, meeting a specific need, and selling them to a wide range of customer classes. By contrast, the business concept in a market-driven business is to offer many different product concepts to to satisfy a broad and generic need of a target market or specific customer class. With this strategy, you will mostly see a wide range of products that have no conceptual link to each other, and often no link between the technology and capabilities employed in their production. Growth is achieved by exploiting the generic market by providing many different products that each satisfy a target need of their customers. Consequently, the product choices that a market-driven company make are very different to that of a product-driven strategy. This concept has very different strategic implications, and a good example would be a company like Johnson & Johnson. The generic market is healthcare, and the customer classes are medical practitioners, patients, and parents. These customers are targeted with a wide range of very different products that cater for their general healthcare needs. The driving force in a technology-driven business is the development of a specific know-how at the root of the business. From this technology, they develop applications that will result in many different products that can address the needs of many different customers and markets. Consequently, and unlike the first two examples, technology-driven organizations often have both a very wide range of products and a very wide range of customers and markets. More is invested in research and development than other companies to focus on developing and exploiting their technology. If you examine their products, you will see evidence that they all stem from their core technology. Unlike the previous examples, there is no single product concept or generic market need. Technology companies will seek to provide any product to any market so long as it commercially exploits the investment in their technology. In this short presentation, I have only illustrated 3 of the 9 driving forces. This current slide briefly demonstrates the other 6, each with a different business concept, and shows how the implications would have a changed effect on resource allocation and the future scope for products and markets. This is why understanding your driving force is critical to defining a strategy that will focus the business and outpace competitors. In determining the most influential driving force in your business, you also need to discuss the implications of the remaining 8. There will be a hierarchy of importance with these drivers, and it's vital to have them prioritized in such a way that you can develop their competency. To sustain a competitive edge, many organizations will need to continuously develop certain skills and capabilities in these other areas. Many will regard a broad competency across the entire spectrum of skills as being a given. But to differentiate the strategy and optimize resources, an organization needs to clarify and identify its driving force. The business implications of determining the driving force behind your strategy can be best summarized by this example. 3M produce a very wide range of products, and their strategy behind this may not be initially obvious. On a previous slide, we indicated that 3M are a technology-driven business. They invest heavily in developing applications for this technology. From these applications, they produce a wide range of products, but each one is related in some way to their core technology of polymer chemistry. Some products stem from the applications of coatings, and some from the application of adhesives. In this context, their choices of products and markets becomes clearer. Now, if 3M's strategy was to pursue a product concept rather than a technology, then their allocation of resources and product choices would be quite different. If the product concept was adhesives, then we would see all of the current adhesive-based products, but none of the coatings-based products. More resources would be channeled into adhesives, but none into coatings. A quite different scope of products with very different implications to its business profile. What we are suggesting is that all 9 business drivers play an important role in shaping strategy, but that one of the 9 drivers is actually the driving force behind all final top-level decisions, and it is what we refer to as the strategic heartbeat. The other observation is that the strategic heartbeat stays consistent and doesn't change without very exceptional reasons. It's this long-term consistency that gives a successful business its direction, focus, and sustainability. We tend to see that the organizations that have enjoyed long-term success are the ones that have identified, maintained, and exploited their strategic heartbeat, the single but most important driving force that affects direction when allocating resource and choosing future opportunities. Being that the choice of products and the selection of markets are key elements of our strategy, we can use the strategic heartbeat concept to help us make future choices about which products or services to offer and which markets to pursue. By identifying our strategic scope in this way, we can be sure that we make reliable decisions when choosing between opportunities. Another very good reason for determining the strategic heartbeat is to focus resources into developing the particular skills and capabilities that will support the strategy and enhance its competitive edge. If we look again at our three earlier examples, we find that the skills and capabilities needed by a product-driven strategy are product development and product support. Compare this to a market-driven strategy which requires accurate market research and long-term customer loyalty, whereas a technology-driven strategy needs massive research and development and innovative new product development, all very different resource needs. We refer to this as developing our corporate excellence. Each driving force needs very specific but different skills to make it work. We have to decide which parts of the business to develop and in which parts of the business to place less emphasis. The critical issues become the bridge between defining and implementing strategy. They are identified as being the issues that must be managed in order to move the business from where you see it today to where you want it to be at the end of the next strategic time frame. They are also the direct link between strategic and operational activities. They are systematically organized and identify the key steps and the main contributors to resolve each issue. Each critical issue is allocated a single named owner to champion it forward. In summary, the process of strategic thinking constructs a strategic profile for the future vision of the business. It consists of the following main elements: a business concept statement used to communicate strategy that will clearly explain the purpose and direction of the organization. It will be concise and describe a distinct customer proposition. A strategic filter to assist when choices are being made to allocate resources. The definition of corporate excellence to describe the skills and capabilities needed to differentiate and implement strategy. The scope for future products, customers and markets to help choose between opportunities. The size growth and return profit guidelines to monitor the progress of strategy. And the critical issues that must be managed to ensure successful implementation. Phase 1 of our strategic thinking process is defining business strategy and consists of 5 steps and 2 data input surveys. Step 1 requires input data, and so we must firstly do some preparation prior to the work session. Participants are provided with a strategic input survey to individually complete and return to strategy workshops prior to the work session. We then consolidate the inputs into a single data document for use throughout the project. At the first meeting, we use this data to analyze the current strategic profile to ensure that we're all at the same level of understanding. At this time, we also overview the entire project process and explain the input we need for the second data survey. Step 2 is to examine the business arena. We will systematically examine the most significant variables in the business environment using the data collated from the second strategic input survey. This input is used to study the most significant issues internal and external to the business, which will naturally include the competition. Step 3 is to identify strategic options. This is when we determine the strategic heartbeat. To achieve this, we must firstly develop a better understanding of the different driving forces causing strategic influence in your organization. We use the 9 driving force definitions and examine their relative importance to each other when viewed in the context of your business. The second task is to decide which one of the 9 drivers will be fundamental to all major decision making in your organization and will therefore be your future strategic heartbeat. Step 4 is when we develop the future strategic profile. Using the strategic heartbeat, we then construct a business concept to clearly explain the direction and purpose of the business, and which all the participants can buy into. From the business concept, we assemble a strategic filter to assist future decision making. We then determine our corporate excellence by agreeing the special skills and capabilities that collectively we will continuously develop to create a sustainable competitive edge. In addition, strategic measurements and key performance indicators are set to guide the profit and growth requirements. The strategic scope for future products and markets is also agreed, and examples added to the strategic profile to facilitate accurate future communication. Step 5 is to identify the critical issues. Clearly, the future strategy must be validated before finalization to make sure that it optimizes the organization's strengths, maximizes its opportunities, and demonstrates a clear competitive edge. As part of this discussion, all the issues and actions that are seen as critical to the success of strategy are clearly identified. Each critical issue is prioritized, and all the high priority issues are taken and expanded into action plans by identifying the key plan steps and resources needed. An owner for each of the individual high priority critical issues is also appointed. To continue and maintain this initiative, we suggest annual reviews of the strategic profile to examine change and to determine new critical issues for the following year. Our strategic thinking process is a quick and positive way of examining strategy and achieving an understanding and implementation commitment. This is achieved by working with a top management team, harnessing their broad spectrum of personal experience and training. All it requires is for the participants to be comfortable with the concept of utilizing an externally facilitated process. This process is an opportunity to step away from the day-to-day operational activity and spend 2 days discussing and formulating future strategy and the issues needed to implement it successfully. Buy-in to the output is significantly greater than that achieved when an external firm of management consultants prepare strategy on behalf of management. A facilitated methodology is also far more cost-effective, and the process can be exploited ad infinitum as part of the organization's process of continuous improvement. I do hope that you have found this brief presentation to be thought-provoking and would welcome any feedback or questions regarding our approach. My contact details are also provided on the label of this DVD.